to another episode of the Cozy Cottage Crochet Podcast. My name is Hannah, and this is a podcast all about crochet, a little bit of knitting, sometimes sewing, and generally living the yarniest life possible in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I live, and where it is currently 1 billion degrees and 1,000% humidity outside. The sun is out currently, but it rained like all night and all this morning, so the air is like, oh, so thick. I had some signings at work today, meaning people coming to execute some documents, and so we do that outside in the parking lot because of the virus. And so like literally the paper was like, you could tell it had been near water afterwards. Craziness, so much humidity. So I actually have a lot to talk about. I'm feeling like weird today, like my stomach is not super happy. I'm kind of tired, but as always, this is a favorite thing of mine to do, so I'm thrilled to talk to you. And you know, if it's a little weird, funky episode, this is real life. What can I say? If you're looking for me anywhere on the interweb, you can find me as The Cozy Cottage Crochet on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me as The Cozy Cottage on Ravelry. We have a Ravelry group for this podcast that is linked directly down below. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything to say specifically about the podcast, please email me. That is the only way that will guarantee that I see your message. My email address is thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. And I want to say a huge thank you to all of the giveaway winners from the last podcast episode. Everyone has contacted me. Your prizes have all been mailed except for one who just contacted me like a day ago. I will get that out in the next few days, hopefully. And yeah, you may notice that I'm not wearing any crochet or yarn or of anything. And it is because A, it's really hot outside, so I didn't wear anything all day today. But B, I have a finished object to show you. And it is a finished object that I will hopefully wear for the rest of the episode, unless it just gets too hot. You might be able to guess what it is because it is a cardigan. It's done. It's finished. This is the Angela cardigan, which is a pattern by Vicky Chan. This is the second pattern I have made of hers. The first was the Ariana cardigan. So this is like a mesh cardigan with ribbing. I made a few modifications, one of which is the pattern calls for sleeves to be added, and I did not want sleeves because Florida. So I just added a ribbed cuff directly onto the armhole. And I changed the way that this ribbing was attached to the body. So it is a join as you go ribbing, but I really didn't like the way that the pattern put it because at least with my gauge and my tension, it was creating kind of little holes in between this ribbing and the mesh. And of course, I really wanted it to be more secure, but also I didn't want holes there. So I just kind of changed up the way that I was attaching it, liked it much better. The yarn that I used for this is Loops and Threads Wool Like in the colorway Teal Lake. I used almost 3 balls. And obviously my stitch gauge was way off because this is a light fingering weight yarn. So to get like the medium/large size, I think I made the large. I had to use the 3XL stitch counts, which required some math, but I was pretty happy with it. I have weaved in all the ends. I have blocked it. I have washed it, and actually it kind of shrunk a little bit when I washed it because I had blocked it within an inch of its life. And I think that actually I need to reblock because that looks fine right now, but like this one, it's like a little bit tighter on my arm than I would like. So I think I may reblock these armholes. And this is what it looks like. Stand up. You can see that it goes, it's not quite, this is my hip bone right here. This, I can't even stand up tall enough. This is the bottom of my behind, and it doesn't quite go past it. It's just like a loose open cardigan, kind of hangs. I can cross it if I want to. I will say, I wish that I had made it like 3 inches longer, which it was a couple of inches longer before I washed and dried it. And it kind of just like everything evened out a bit because I had blocked it initially and then I reblocked certain parts that weren't quite the way I wanted them. So the mesh is pretty even looking, but I wish it was like 3 inches longer, even 2 inches longer. I'm still very happy with it. I will still wear it all the time, but I am going to reblock the armholes because I don't like how tight they are. And they're not even tight. They're just like sitting on my arm, and I don't like that. Like, I wish it was looser. And I don't know, if I just like yank on this a little bit, I can get a couple inches out of it. So it probably won't be washed that often, honestly, because it's a cardigan. You don't need to wash those all the time. So I really think it goes with all kinds of things. I know it's going to get a lot of wear. I will tell you, I made this out of Loops and Threads wool-like, which is 85% acrylic, 15% nylon. And the Ariana cardigan that I made was 75% wool and 25% nylon. I made that out of a Knit Picks yarn. This is hotter. And this actually has more space. Like, the whole pattern is literally mesh. The other pattern is a lace pattern as well, but I could tell a difference when I put this on. This is warmer than the other one, which is made out of wool, because acrylic is plastic. I have no room whatsoever for yarn snobbery or anything of the sort. I love Loops and Threads wool-like. I have made 2 cardigans and a sweater out of this yarn, and I have made 3 shawls. I want to say 3 shawls out of this yarn. So it is a much beloved yarn. I have pretty much held it single, except for one cardigan I held double. That one I don't have anymore because I simply made it too big. It was too big right here for me and in the underarm, but it has found a home with someone else who appreciates it and loves it. And her name is Amy. So I mean, I love this yarn. I've used it for so many things. It's so affordable. It's one of the only affordable, like, of that price point, $3 fingering weight yarns on the market, in my opinion, although it is a light fingering weight, so it kind of, you're gonna have problems with gauge if you need it to match an actual true fingering weight yarn. I don't mind that it's warmer. There is a reason that I chose a mesh pattern for this. Like, I wouldn't want to make a solid fabric. My blurred line sweater is made out of wool-like, and it is a solid fabric, and it doesn't get much wear because Florida. So acrylic just doesn't breathe the way that wool does, which is totally fine. This yarn is super soft. So if you have any kind of wool sensitivity, if your skin is sensitive in general, this I don't think would bother you at all. Like, it is so soft, so lovely. This is after coming out of the washer and dryer. It's really not fuzzy. It's fuzzy right here at the edge. I don't know why, because this edge, not as fuzzy. I don't know what happened down on that edge. Doesn't bother me. If this was a fitted cardigan, like up to here, and there was going to be friction here, I would guarantee you this would pill, because this yarn does pill. But I think that this will be absolutely fine, especially with the chain stitches. This is an entry in my own make-along, the Year of Classics 2020, which is a year-long make-along going until December, where you make things that actually fit in your wardrobe. This fits in my wardrobe so well. I will wear this all the time. I'm so excited that it is done. I didn't love making it because it's literally endless mesh chains and then this 3rd loop ribbing, which was an exercise in patience, let me tell you. Oh my word, I hated making the ribbing so much. And funny story, after I was almost done with this entire collar of ribbing, I realized the beginning ribbing and this ribbing are 1 stitch off. Like, the beginning ribbing I think has 12 stitches, and I, on this and on the cuffs, only have 11 because I wasn't paying attention. And was there any way in the world that I was going to rip out an entire collar, which took like 2 through 4 weeks to do, so that I could add 1 stitch to the ribbing? Absolutely not. So this collar is supposed to be 1 stitch wider, which I honestly don't think would make that much of a difference. But this is what it looks like. It's a beautiful pattern. It will work up much faster if you make it in an actual fingering weight yarn. I think the pattern calls for like a cotton blend, and that actually will give it some weight too. One of the reasons that this is a little shorter than I want it to be is because this yarn weighs like nothing. Like, this is barely 300 grams of yarn, maybe 270 for the entire cardigan. So it just doesn't have any weight to pull it down. Whereas if this was made with a cotton or a wool, it would be much heavier and it would drag it down a little bit. So highly recommend the pattern. It may be a labor of love for you as it was for me, but it will be worth it. And this is why we have the Year of the Classics, because what we like to make is not necessarily what we always like to wear. And I am certainly guilty of that. I would much prefer to bang out a worsted weight sweater that's going to sit in the closet forever because I'm never gonna wear it because it's way too hot. We have like 4 days of cold weather here. This I can wear in my office at work because there's air conditioning and be happy as a clam. I've already worn this to work twice. I will just love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it. So recommend the pattern, recommend the yarn. If you have the ability to make it in a wool, it will of course, you know, come out slightly differently, but it's good. And I pretty much wear it like this. I like to wear it open. I don't like to do this. Maybe I will. Maybe I would do that after this baby comes out, so it doesn't look quite so pronounced at that point, but I maybe, like, I could totally see if it was a little bit cold, crossing it and then wearing a belt, like right here. That would be cute. So yeah, Angela Cardigan, Vicky Chan, love her. She's an amazing designer. And this is the second cardigan pattern I have made of hers, and there's the third one that I started months ago that is like 5% done. So when is that one gonna get done? I literally have no idea. But yeah, I can't believe this. I've been working on this since before quarantine started. So probably January, February, I started this. And that means took me 6 months. August is 8 months. Yeah, so if I started in February, it took me 6 months to do. Of course, I was not monogamous because I just couldn't be monogamous on this sweater. It was too much work to do the same stitch over and over. So if you have a project like this that's very tedious, or that you're doing the same stitch over and over and over and over and you don't find it relaxing, you find it annoying, just work on it, like set a goal to work on it like 3 days a week for 20 minutes or something, and it will eventually get done. That's my finished object. But wait, there's one more. It is so cute. I literally can't stand it. It was living in my favorite project bag, alpaca my bag, and it has, of course, must show you every time I pull this bag out, an alpaca butt. And it is baby cardigan. Is the baby vertebrae, which that is a pattern by Kelly Van Niekerk. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. The newborn cardigan, the newborn vertebrae is a free pattern. The baby vertebrae is a paid for pattern, but I did purchase the pattern because it has multiple sizes and I did not want to make a newborn size. I think that's a waste of time. I don't need any newborn clothes. I don't need any newborn anything, because if I have a super tiny baby, I'll just buy a couple onesies and it'll be fine. But like, they grow out of it in like 4 weeks. So this has newborn to 2 years old and 3 yarn weights. So you can make it in fingering, DK, or worsted. So I thought it was highly, highly worth it. And it's a great pattern. I didn't have any questions when I was making it. The yarn that I made this with was a very special skein of yarn that was in my stash. That was a gift from a lovely, lovely viewer and patron of this podcast named Amanda. And she had sent me this a while ago, and it's called Groovy Hues Fiber in the colorway O Industry. And it is 100% superwash merino, and it is DK weight yarn. So you get 250 yards for 115 grams. And I think I have this much left. I would have much less left if it was not 115 gram skein. So I have this much left. I don't know how much that is. I have not weighed it. I don't know what the colorway O Industry means, but somebody commented on the last episode and was like, oh, it's because Bette Midler had a song called O Industry, which of course I didn't look up. So sorry, but if you know what that means, then you get the reference. Are you ready to be just, you're not even gonna be able to stand the cuteness that I'm about to show you, because I can't stand it. I'm literally like, oh my God, it's so tiny. Look at this. This is the fastest sweater I've ever made. It got done so quickly. And I actually, so the way that you work is you cast on up here, you knit the whole body and then the ribbing, and then you pick up and do the sleeves. So I picked up and did both sleeves, bound them off and everything. And then I took this to work with the needle, and I was like, oh yeah, I could maybe do, like, start the ribbing on the lunch break, pick up the stitches. I realized I brought the wrong size needle because you use a bigger size for the stockinette and one smaller size for the ribbing. And then that made me realize that I did the ribbing on the sleeve cuffs in the wrong size needle, in the bigger size. And so I looked at it and I was like, do I want to rip it out? Like, is it worth it? It was so little knitting. It's literally like 7 rows. And yes, I did. I just picked up stitches and then re-knit the ribbing, and it looks much better now. I would say before it was like this, like it just kind of looked loose and floppy, and now it pulls in perfectly on both cuffs. And then I picked up and did the ribbing on the cardie. This ribbing, oh, there's an end that didn't get trimmed. They're all weaved in, but that one didn't get trimmed, I guess. I did this on a smaller needle as well on one night. It took me one evening to do the ribbing. So it's so cute. This is the back. I love the way it pulled. I just think it's fabulous. It's so autumnal and it will be perfect. And of course, the reason that it's called Baby Vertebrae is because it only covers its back and butt. It's made to be a little bit longer, so it'll cover its butt. And when you hold a baby, you know, you kind of like hold them like this. And their front doesn't necessarily need to have a sweater on it when they're tiny. Plus they're like spitting up sometimes. So this is for that. And I just soaked this in some soak wool wash, and then I patted it flat and laid it flat to dry and just let it dry. It smells delightful. Like, is it weird that I'm just sitting here smelling baby knits that smell nothing like baby and everything like sheep? This is the perfect thing for this yarn to grow up to be. This special skein of yarn that I didn't know what to do with, but I couldn't let go out of my stash because it just kept calling to me. I love this, and I know it won't get a ton of views because the baby's gonna grow out of it pretty quickly. But I can promise you, because this is a December baby, that it will be wearing sweaters at the beginning, at least until like March probably, because that is when it's cooler in Florida. And then it probably won't wear a sweater again until December, until it's a year old. So I have to make everything like 0 to 3 month or 0 to 6 month size, or a year. I just love it. In fact, I think it needs to stay right here and be part of the podcast entirely, because it's the cutest thing in the entire world, and I can't possibly imagine it being any cuter. And like, it's so cute. I'm so happy with it. I'm happy with every part of it. I'm happy with the yarn. I'm just so happy. It's perfect. It's perfection, I tell you. So that's 2 finished objects. And then I had a period of like 4 or 5 days where I didn't do any crochet because I was just too tired. No crochet, no knitting. But I have a small amount of work on like a lot of projects. So I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects to show you in the work in progress category. And this is in no particular order. I'm just grabbing what's next to me. It's all in a giant pile. I have a tote bag full of balls of Red Heart with Love in the colorway Fruit Punch. I had 7 of these. I have 4.5 balls left in this tote bag. This is the half. I actually could have probably gotten rid of this half a ball last night, but instead I got distracted and did math and started something else, which you will see in a second. This is just a corner to corner, very tangly baby blanket, or it's gonna be like, this is half of it. So I'm going to increase until I run out of the 3rd ball of yarn. Then I'm gonna decrease for 3 balls of yarn, and then I'll have 1 left to do a border. So this looks like roses to me. I don't know, like, it's not really my color scheme. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this when it's done. I have 2 friends who are pregnant, one of whom is due at the same time as me, and one of whom is due like a month and a half before me. The month and a half before me is a boy, and I don't think this is gonna go with their color scheme, although I'll have to find out. And I don't think this is gonna go with the other person's color scheme either. So I may just like hold this until somebody else has a baby, or maybe I'll use it. I don't know. It's just gonna be, it's very stiff, but of course it's Red Heart. So the minute I throw this in the washer and the dryer, it's gonna be soft and drapey. And I would like to get this done because it's a whip that takes up a lot of room in my whip basket because it's bulky. This is where I was last time, so I've done this much. 2/3 of a ball-ish. So if I if I could get through one ball every 2 weeks, I think that this would be done in like a month and a half. No, because then I still have to do a border. It would be done in 2 months. So if I could get through one ball every 2 weeks, I don't like to spend more than half an hour working on this at a time because it hurts my elbow. Like the yarn is just kind of stiff, but I think it will be totally worth it when it's done. So that's a whip that has had a little bit of love. There is also a design, and it has not gotten quite as much love as it had last time because there's a puzzle at my job. So my boss, this is what happened. What happened was my boss's daughter bought her a puzzle. It's a 1,000-piece puzzle, but it is a gradient puzzle. It is a color gradient that goes from pink to gold. There is no shapes, it's only color gradient. So it is a very difficult puzzle. So she tried to do it, gave up, brought it into work. Another coworker took it home, gave up a couple days later, brought it back. And so I decided it was gonna be the community puzzle, and I put it on the back conference room table because we're not having clients in the office right now. And so I have been working on this puzzle on my lunch breaks. It's like 40% done now because I love puzzles. Puzzling is a life skill and I have it. I may not have other important life skills that like actually help you, but I can puzzle. So I have not been crocheting on my lunch breaks at work for like a week and a half because I've been working on this puzzle. So this does not have as much love as I would like it to, but it has some love. It is the cowl design that I'm working on. This is Yarn on the Prairie, Voltage, and Electric Blue. These two colors, they're both attached. And this is how tall it is now. So this guy, this stitch marker, I've done this much. So it has grown about 3 inches, and I have joined the second 50 grams of the lime green yarn. And actually, I thought that I was off in my numbers, but it turns out I wasn't really off after all. I was like maybe 1 round off in my calculations for how many rows I could get out of it. So I'm pretty happy with that, especially because it's gonna go around this way. So I'm about halfway through the entire thing. And then once it's blocked, it will of course grow a bit. So it should be like a perfectly cozy 1 loop cowl. So I'm very excited about this. It's probably not going to get a ton of love until that puzzle is done. Which, what can I say? I love puzzles. So that's one work in progress. It's my take along to work, and I take it with me every day, even if I don't use it. Don't work on it. So I started another baby cardigan, of course. This is living in a Christmas bag because I want it to be done with Christmas, which is a bag that No Catchy Name made for me. And I love the Christmas bag. And if you don't know No Catchy Name bags, I love No Catchy Name. You should. It's delightful. So what is living in here is a baby Gramps. So you will know if you've been around that I made my husband a Gramps cardigan last year to fit him full adult size. And I am making a tiny baby Gramps to fit this baby. Now, of course, it can't just be simple because the yarn that I made his out of is this. It's a DK weight yarn that is Valley Yarns, Valley Superwash DK. The colorway is Classic Navy. And it is a DK weight, 137 yards for 50 grams. The pattern is made using worsted weight yarn. So I took the gauge that I had for his sweater, and so I made him the medium large, and I think I made the extra large stitch counts to get the medium large size on his sweater. So for this one, I am actually making the 2 to 4 year old sweater size so that I can get the 0 to 6 month sweater size. I did all of that math last night instead of working on that blanket. So I have 2 balls of this, and I have 2 balls of the gray, which it won't take that much gray to do the piping and the color and button band and stuff. So I barely started it. Like, this is what I did last night. I did the cast on, and I went through the setup row and 4 rows. So I've done essentially 5 rows. So I just placed markers for the raglan increases like, oh my God, look at how tiny this is. This is like a little baby sweater top. So, and it's on this gigantic needle because it is the only knitting needle cord that I have that is not already occupied. And I will show you why that is in a minute. So it has had just a very small amount of progress, but at least I figured out what stitch counts to use. And you can see all of the highlighting. I went through and highlighted. So I'm doing the 2 to 4 year old stitch counts, but the 0 to 6 month measurement. So I went through and highlighted all of my numbers and then circled them because I had also highlighted the adult numbers, and I feel like I'm gonna get confused. But that just barely got started, but I'm excited about it. And I finished this guy, and my husband was like, well, it's really pretty, but what about the matching cardigan? The audacity, okay? I'm just thrilled that he wants to match the baby, so it's gonna happen. But wait, there's more baby things. And then I have one more knitting project to show you. It is a cardigan that I had not started last time, I don't think. Let's see. This yarn was a lovely, lovely gift from a viewer of this podcast named Jetty. It is Knightsbridge Classic Traditions in the colorway Bishop's Green. Let's see if I can make this focus. Not really. I can't make it focus. But it is 65% baby llama, 25% merino, and 10% silk. You get 120 yards or 50 grams. So I have 5 balls of this, 250 grams. I have completely used 2 balls of yarn. The sweater is not quite done. It is the Baby Kimono pattern by Inez de Good. I got this pattern on Ravelry. I don't really recommend the pattern, honestly. It, first of all, has 0 gauge information in the pattern. Like, come on, that is a pet peeve of mine. Put the gauge. It also only comes in one size, which is totally fine because I don't need it to come in multiple sizes, but I think if you're gonna make a baby sweater, it should come in at least a couple of sizes because babies grow very quickly. Like, maybe you don't wanna make a 0 to 3 month size. Also, there are no stitch counts like anywhere in the pattern. So you have to do a lot of counting because like at the end of the row, it doesn't tell you stitch counts, like how many you should have. I am a little, let's see, I'll just show you. I'm like a little weirded out by this is how much left I have of the second ball. A little weirded out by the sleeve length. So this is the sweater. As you can see, it is a little wrap cardigan. This sleeve is what the sleeve calls for. Like, this is what the pattern calls for. And I get that babies have tiny arms, but this is a really short sleeve. I compared it to this sleeve and I compared it to the Craft Yarn Council sleeves, like measurements of how long a baby's arm is, and this is quite short. So I think I'm gonna add like 3 extra rows of sleeve, which should give it another 1.5 inches. We'll put it down there. If it somehow turns out to be too long, then I'll just cuff the sleeve. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. This is a wrap cardigan, so you have one that goes across, and then this one goes across this way. I did add 1 extra row here to make it just slightly longer, and then the pattern has you fasten off your yarn at the bottom, and then do the sleeves, and then refasten the yarn, and do single crochet all the way around, and then you attach a contrast color, but I'm not using a contrast color. It's just going to be a little baby Yoda green cardigan. So I did not fasten off. I just kept going at the bottom, and then I made 1 round of single crochet to kind of bring in the border together. So I don't know. It's going to be adorable. I kind of ran out of steam after I finished the second ball of yarn. I don't know why. I just finished the second ball of yarn and I was like, yeah, and I'm done working on that for now. Because literally all I have is like 3 rows on this sleeve and another sleeve. Like, I could get 1 sleeve done in like, I don't know, an hour and a half. I don't know how long this would take. It's so small, but it is the perfect baby Yoda green, and I'm obsessed with it. I will say My skin is like super sensitive lately since I've been pregnant, but this is itching me a little bit. Hopefully it's so like super soft when I do this, but like right here it's a little bit itchy, so I'll have to like make sure that it's not like itching the baby, I guess. But it'll of course be washed by then. So yeah, tiny sweater. Tiny sweater. I don't really recommend the pattern, honestly, but for a Baby Yoda cardigan, I think it was worth it. I'm going to finish it, and hopefully that will be a finished object next time, because it just has so little to be done on it still. Just a sleeve and a tiny bit. And finally, I have one project to show you that you have not seen in months and months and months because it requires math. It is a very special project, and I have a goal. My gosh, there's a tiny lizard in here, like this big, and it just went that way. I don't mind that a tiny lizard is in here, although it is going to die. It's going to be trapped in the house forever. But I thought upon first glance that it was like a cockroach, which there is like never any cockroaches in my house because my husband loves me and he sprays all around the house like once a month to keep them out, because Florida, and oh my gosh, I cannot deal with bugs. But I just had a small panic attack about the fact that there was a cockroach like 10 inches from my foot, but actually it's a tiny lizard, so I don't care. If Kalisha from the Quirky Monday Craftcast was here, she would be like, baby dragon, baby dragon. So this is my Mission Impossible Mal project. I really don't think it's gonna get done by December. I truly don't think it's gonna be done by December. But I will hopefully at least be past the armhole split by the time this baby is born. That is my goal. The Mission Impossible Mal is to make a project that really challenges you. And you had from January of 2020 until December 31st of 2020. And this was my original pick for this. It is the Long Line Cardigan by Hohie Catelli. It is a fingering weight knit sweater with crazy construction. And I am using the most fabulous yarn of all time. This is still like, I can't believe that I have this yarn to use. It is a set of Skyrim yarn dyed by Leah, who is the dyer behind Sheep Happens yarn, which if you don't have her yarn, you definitely should go look it up, and I'll leave a link to her shop down below. She has a website. The yarn is fabulously squishy, and I designed a pattern in Leah's yarn called the Falling Ivy Shawl, and then I also crocheted up, I don't design knit patterns, I crocheted a sample of my Mirage ponytail hat cowl, which is a hat that turns into a cowl, depending on how you want to wear it, in her yarn as well. And then I used her yarn for Kalisha's Gemini shawl. So I love her yarn. She sent me a set of Skyrim yarn as a birthday present a while back. And I hoarded it because Skyrim is, first of all, my favorite thing in the world. I literally have the dragon from Skyrim tattooed on my leg. If I wasn't wearing leggings, I would show you. And I was like, I knew that this has to be a knit sweater, but I didn't know what pattern. So I finally picked the pattern. I did my husband's Gramps cardigan first because that was a DK weight sweater and I wanted some practice before tackling this. This is a lot of new techniques. This is my swatch. The colors, so there's Solitude. That was the first color. Then there's Dawn Star, so it's going to be a fade. The next colorway after that, I should have listed them out because I can never see when I'm digging around in here what the colorway name is. This is Winterhold. So Solitude, Dawn Star, and Winterhold. Then these are all names of cities in Skyrim. Then we have Morthal, so you can see it's getting darker and darker. And then we have this one, which is Windhelm, which is a very frosty city. Ooh. Then we have Whiterun. So I'll show you these three together. See how they're getting darker. And there's two more. I can grab them. This one is Riften. And this one is Falkreath. So that it gets really, really dark blue. So I'll just show you these. I just, never in my life would I, have access to this yarn. B, like be able to get a sweater's quantity of it, and C, have a freaking Skyrim fade, which I believe you can still get if you are into that. So let me see how I can show this to you. The reason that I don't have any cables for, I have to use a really long cable for the Tiny Gramps cardigan, is because all of my cables are attached to this. This is super weird construction. So you start the cardigan on the collar and you like knit so much. Then you pick up stitches and knit the other way. So this is the top part of the collar. Then you pick up stitches and knit some on the back. So you actually, you start working all of this together. So you knit for a certain while. You can see that I have a sweater progress keeper on here to mark the back of the sweater. Then you actually split and you put the back on hold. You put the right front on hold. You put the right shoulder on hold. You put the left front on hold and the left shoulder on hold. So I'm using all of these cables to put all of these stitches on hold. My goal, see if I can possibly show you. This is kind of what it's supposed to be. Like this. Too far. So this is kind of what it's supposed to look like. This is how much I've done so far. This is the shoulder. My goal, because you have to knit this a certain amount of length, then you knit this one a certain amount of length, then you knit the back a certain amount of length, and then you join under the arms. So I want to get this joined so that it's one solid round or one solid back and forth before the baby is born. I think that that's feasible, because then I will just have straight knitting to do. Just straight knitting, straight purling, nothing else. I am a little bit concerned that even though I did gauge swatch, that this is like a little too small. Like this is the shoulder. This is the shoulder gusset right here. It's only that much. So like this, I mean, I feel like maybe that's fine. It is supposed to overlap, and I do understand this is superwash yarn, so this is gonna grow. I'm at about 3.5 inches. I don't know if you can see this little marker right here. That is where I split the 3 panels apart. So I have to get to like 6.5 inches before we join. I just don't know, like, do I need to go up a size? I don't know. I've used 50 grams of the Solitude yarn, and I just started last night fading in the second yarn, which is Dawn Star. Now I did 2 rows. I was doing 2 rows and carrying the yarn. I think I'm gonna rip this back. This is only 10 rows where I started to fade, because I don't like that striping. I think it needs to be 1, 1, 1, 1. So what I'm going to do to avoid having a 1 billion ends to weave in is I'm going to knit 1 row in first colorway. Then I'm going to go back to the beginning of that row and knit the second row in a second colorway. So I'm not going to be turning in between those 2 rows. Then I will turn it and I will purl a row in the first colorway. We'll go back to the beginning of that row and purl a second row. So I'll essentially be working 2 knit rows and then 2 purl rows so that I can get a fade that's not striping without having to weave in 100 billion ends. It is so soft and plump and squishy and lovely to work on. I really don't know. It seems small. It really does seem small to me. Like this. The collar is supposed to be like here, so like maybe it'll fit. I don't know. I'm not really gonna be able to tell if it's gonna fit until I have all 3 of those panels done and then join under the arms and I can actually try it on. If it's a little bit snug, I won't mind, because of course, superwash yarn will grow. But I'm just afraid that it's not wide enough. I don't know. I hope I really hope that at the end of that, the end of the 3 little front panel, back panel, left front panel, that when I join it, that it will fit, because I would hate to rip it all out. I will rip it all out if it doesn't fit and start again with different stitch counts, because there is no way that I'm putting all of this work into a fingering weight sweater out of the best yarn of all time and it not fit me at the end. So I've already resigned myself to ripping it out if it doesn't work, but I'm fingers crossed, praying, hoping, believing that it will work based on my gauge that I did at the beginning, and that as long as I can join under the arms before the baby is born, which we still have like 4 months for that, 3.5, then I will just have straight knitting to do, and I won't have to do any math or any thinking or anything like that. And then I'll have something to work on over Christmas when I'm at home and don't have any brain power because I'm not sleeping. That's my plan. I'm sure y'all will all be with me when it goes completely awry. I have a little bit of happy mail to show you. I have got one thing in the mail, and then I purchased something. So I got a surprise that I did not know was coming from a lovely viewer of this podcast named Arlene, who sent me this hot pink yarn. Delightful. You know I love hot pink. She also sent me some baby yarn. This is Lion Brand Ice Cream Sprinkles in the colorway Bubblegum. So I think that's super cute. And then there were some extra little goodies in here. There's a pack of Yarnology playing cards, which is hysterical to me. And there was a really, really sweet note. And then there was this Yarn is Lifestyle book that has all of these little pages where you can write your feelings about yarn, which I will definitely be using this. I have favorite yarns, and I do need a place to keep them all. And then there was like a little llama alpaca. It's a tape measure, which is so apropos because the one that I have right next to the couch just broke. I've had that one for like 2 years, but you know, they don't last forever. And so I was like, man, my tape measure broke. I have one more, it's in my sock knitting bag, but I was so delighted that this came in the mail completely unexpectedly, because now I replaced my tape measure. So thank you so much, Arlene. It was so, so sweet of you. Just delightful. And then I ordered something, but I'm so excited. Now I have purchased almost nothing this year because pandemic. And also, if you've been around, you know that I changed jobs last year through a lot of drama and a lot of tears. But that I make much less now than I used to. Not like I was rolling in the dough before, but I make certainly a lot less now. So it's been like, you know, gotta watch. And then, of course, there was a pandemic. I thought I was going to lose my job for a while. And now, of course, we're having a baby. So I just have bought almost nothing this year. But this came up on Instagram, and I was able to snag one by setting an alarm on my phone. I have wanted one of these since the second they came out. It's probably been like 1.5 years, maybe more, since these have come out. I am finally the proud owner of a Feminist Knit Club bag from Nerdbird Makery. Now, what I really want is one of the backpack ones. Not the crossbody ones, one of the ones that are like an actual backpack. The chances of that I will A, have money, and B, know when the pre-order is going up for that are almost 0. So I was like, this is the next best thing. I'm going to finally get one of these. And it was a pre-order, so I ordered this like a month ago, at least. And then it came in the mail last week. It has leather handles. This is canvas. This is like waxed canvas, I think, and this is regular canvas. And then on the inside, it has her stamp. And this is canvas as well. It has these like grommets. It has a vote card, because you know that's what it stands for. And there's 2 big pockets on the inside as well. This is a massively sturdy bag. Like, this is like a lifetime bag. This will not disintegrate. In fact, I haven't even tried. I haven't even tried to close it. And it is very stiff because it's brand new. But of course, the more you use canvas, the softer it will get. So I am just thrilled, beyond thrilled. It doesn't have a project in it yet because I wanted to show it to you first. I've just wanted one of these. I wish there was one that was like Feminist Crochet Club, but I'm so happy to support Nerdbird Makery, who is a fantastic advocate and member of this community and has amazing products. And I am also happy to support this and the cause for women voters, especially when voting was just ratified 100 years ago, like just a couple days ago. Of course, that wasn't for all women, so we have complaints about that, but that was the first step in getting all women the access to vote. So I'm just beyond thrilled to have this bag after so long. And now it is time for me to take this off because I'm getting really hot. The air conditioner kicked off and I can't, there's fuzz everywhere and I can't breathe and it's a whole thing. And you know why it's a whole thing? This. It is time for the bump date. This is growing. It's growing. And I say it's a girl. She's growing. She is kicking me a lot. She is stomping on my bladder without mercy, making me have to pee every 5 seconds. But everything is good. Everything is healthy. I have another appointment next week. I am at 23 weeks right now. So the app said that the baby was the size of a grapefruit, although last time it said the baby was the size of a coconut. And I don't know if you've seen coconuts and grapefruits, but I feel like coconuts are bigger. So what gives? What gives? Also, the other day, the app said it was as tall as a Mr. Potato Head. And I was like, that one I am here for. So last week was a really good week. I had 3 days where the nausea did not kick my butt. And that I feel like I haven't had 3 days since the beginning. So that was good. It's definitely back this week, so I don't feel so hot. So I'm taking all my medicine and trying to be reasonable, but it's difficult. I'm getting ready. So we had our spare bedroom, which we moved the bed out of. So it's now my husband's office and a bed in the other room. And so there was a futon in there. So we got rid of the futon. There was a bookcase in there that I've pulled all of the books out of and rearranged everything. So that's done. I also, over the weekend, took everything out of the closet. Now the closet in that room is an insane nightmare. It has been broken since we moved in 4 years ago, except it was just a storage closet for junk, so who cares? but I had all my yarn in there. So there was like some coats and clothes and like some random bits and bobs, but mostly my yarn was in there. So I had to take all of my yarn out because it has this little like built-in thing that's like completely rickety and broken. So that has to come out and we're gonna put up some wider closet shelving because it's just completely unsafe to like, as soon as the baby moves around, they cannot get in that closet if it's not replaced. It's so unsafe. So I had to buy some plastic bins to store the yarn in the other closet. And if we ever have another kid and I don't get that closet, I don't know where I'm gonna put my yarn. So I got 4 big plastic bins. So I have 4 plastic bins of yarn. So all of the yarn had to come out and it was delightful to look at my stash and organize everything. So I guess technically I have 5 plastic bins of yarn because I had one like medium-sized bin that had all of my acrylic in it originally. So it has like Red Heart and Karen Simply Soft and like I used to make amigurumi a lot and all kinds of stuff like that and like blanket yarn and this kind of yarn. So it's full of that. Then there's 4 plastic bins. So one of them has everything from like sport weight to worsted weight yarn. One of them has sock yarn, any kind of minis I have, and there's room in that one. And leftovers, there's a bunch of leftovers. One of them, it has a lot of room, one of the bins, because it has like some bulky weight yarn. It has some yarn, like sweater quantities of yarn. So I have like 2 acrylic sweater quantities of yarn. I have a mystery sweater quantity of yarn that I don't know what the fiber is. And like just some notions and random stuff. So that's one bin. And then the final bin is fingering weight. That is the one that is most full because of course, Florida. So all of that yarn is now in a stack in the closet, the second closet. And then I have on top of that a little wooden trunk that my husband got for me a while ago. It's like a little Harry Potter trunk almost with stickers on it. And that houses some very special, very dear skeins that someday will get used, but who knows when that will be because I just like to hoard them. So all of the yarn has been moved out of the closet. That was quite a feat. I got rid of some stuff. I reorganized, and I have one box of giveaway yarn. Now, so because I like to host giveaways and have pattern prizes and podcast prizes, and you guys are so generous and supportive, and I love to share the love. So there are two things that would not fit. I have my stack of bins, and I have the box of giveaway yarn, and then there's all the other stuff in the second closet that was already in there. So these won't fit, so I have to give them away. I was going to hold them for like a second quarter prize or a third quarter prize for some of the make-alongs. There's other prizes for that. These have got to go because I don't have room for them. So if you're watched all the way to here, you can enter a giveaway. This will be in a Ravelry giveaway because I just can't run it any other way. So just go to my Ravelry group. There's a link down below as long as that's accessible to you, and answer the prompt. And if Ravelry is not accessible to you, you can email me and I will enter you in the giveaway as well. So there is one bag of wool-like yarn. So I don't know how many balls are in here. Trust me, I still have plenty of wool-like in my stash. There's blue, there's maroon, there's gray, dark gray and light gray. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 balls. Oh, there might be a white one as well. 10 balls of wool-like yarn. And I have plenty of wool-like still in my stash, but I think that I can fit this much in a flat rate shipping envelope. So this is one prize that must leave because I do not have room to store it. And the other prize that has to leave because I do not have room to store it is a box. Yes, a whole box of Stylecraft DK yarn in all of these pastels. So this is 4, 8, 16 balls of yarn. One of these might be a partial ball, but still, this could make an amazing blanket. It could make baby sweaters. It could make human, like adult sweaters. So those are the two things. I can actually barely get this box closed. I'm gonna have to like sit on it to close it. So I will draw by the next podcast episode 2 winners. I can't tell you which one you're gonna get. It's whoever's closest to me geographically is gonna get the box of yarn because that's the heaviest one, and whoever is furthest away from me geographically is going to get the flat rate of yarn. So just go to Ravelry group if you would like to have either of those prizes, and help me because that is like the last thing, and then everything else fits in our house, which is exciting. So this weekend, we are actually going to replace the closet, like take out what's in there and redo it. And then I already have the crib and a dresser because those are 2 things I really just wanted. So they match each other. So I have a gray crib and a gray smallish kind of dresser with a changing table top because I would just prefer to have that put together. Of course, I don't have a crib mattress. Ridiculous. I don't have a crib mattress, but I'll have to get one of those. I would just feel better. Like, yeah, I'm 23 weeks now. Hopefully I will make it all the way to full term. There will be no issues, but I will just feel better all around that the crib is put together and I don't need to worry about that in the 3rd trimester. While I can still move around, I want to put it together. And if something happens and this baby were to come early and we need to come home, I will at least have a crib. I will at least have a place for the baby, even if nothing else is purchased and nothing else is prepared. So that just makes me feel better. Gives my anxiety a little bit of a rest. So I'm hoping on Saturday we put that closet together and then I can put the crib together and the dresser together. I don't know if I'll have enough energy to put both of them together, but we'll see. I will have to get a mattress, obviously, to put in there and like a sheet to put on the mattress. And then the other thing that I am working on is we have a rocking chair. It's like a glider. It's not a straight rocking chair. And it was my father-in-law's, and they have had that chair a really long time. It's a really nice chair, but the cushions are obviously really old. He got a new rocking chair for Christmas last year, and so he gave us that one, and we brought it home from South Carolina. So it's just been like hanging out in the corner. One thing I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that I wanted was a rocking chair. That's what everyone always says is like the best thing in the world. And I personally love rocking. So I just need to get some new cushions for it. And I've been doing some research. I think I'm going to go on Etsy and get some custom cushions for it, which for the amount that will cost, I could buy a new rocking chair from like Target, but that one is really nice. It's solid wood. It's from a company that doesn't even exist anymore. Like that rocking chair doesn't creak, it doesn't squeak, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't feel unstable. And I've been married to my husband for 9 years. So it's a really, really well-made chair. So I think it's worth it to replace the cushions instead of replacing the chair with something that's gonna break soon. Like that could be in our family for a long time. So all of that to say, I'm going to order the cushions. They're probably gonna take 8 to 10 weeks to come in per the shop policy. I already found what I wanna order, who I wanna order it from. So I won't be able to show you that for a long time, but I just wanna say that the reason that I'm able to get these cushions for this chair is because of your support and like buying my patterns and being patrons of this podcast. I, like I said, have purchased very, very, very little things this year. And I am able to buy cushions for a rocking chair for a baby that will just be perfect. They'll be well made, they'll match the chair, and it will last for a really long time to come because of the support that you have given me through watching and liking and subscribing, and specifically purchasing patterns and sending coffees sometimes through the link below and being a patron. If you do any of those things, just know I appreciate you to the end of the earth, because this is like a really, almost all of the money that comes into the podcast goes straight back into the podcast. Like I use it for prize mailing and like all kinds of stuff. But this is a really, really special thing for me to be able to do that I don't think I would be able to do normally. And it will be really special for me and really special for the baby, even though she won't care probably. And really special for the whole time that those cushions last. So just thank you. I really appreciate all of you. And you know, in like 2.5 months when they come in, I'll show them to you. Until then, it'll be a while. I think that's it. It's been almost an hour. I can't believe I've been talking for an hour. I am starving. Oh, so hungry. So I think I need to go. I need to eat some food and I need to pass out on the couch because it's 6:30 and that's about the time that I go to sleep. So until I see you next time, happy crafting. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up, and you can always hit subscribe to be kept up to date when new episodes go live on this channel. And until I see you again, hugs and love and positivity and naps. I hope you get a nap.